So what is a leader? That's a question that every leader grapples with, especially those who are early on in their careers in a role of leadership. And just because you have a title, just because you're in a certain position in an organization, just because you have people that report to you, does not mean that you're a leader. Now, it's very clear when we think about what a producer is. They're people that produce things. They're people that complete tasks. We have a little bit better understanding of what a manager is. They do things like planning and organizing and controlling. They're kind of line functions. But that's not leadership. And it's really important that regardless of what role that you have, that unless you do the things of leadership, you're not a leader. Just like if you're in a function where you're supposed to be producing widgets, and at the end of the day, there are no widgets that you can claim that you completed during that day, you cannot claim the fact that you're a producer. And if you get paid for the number of items that you produce and you don't produce anything in a day, you don't get paid. And the same is true if you are supposed to be a leader and you've got people that are depending upon you and you do not do the things of leadership, you're not leading. And this is where a lot of people get confused. They see themselves in a position and they're managing, but they're not leading. So what is it that leaders do? Let me start it this way and try and explain that ultimately the foundation of cohesive teams is a thing called vulnerability-based trust. And leaders are those courageous people that recognize that their team is not going to be cohesive, their team is not going to be able to work together unless they lead and demonstrate leadership by going first in being vulnerable and being trustworthy and creating that foundation within the organization. Secondly, leaders mine for conflict. They don't allow things to fester. They don't allow situations to be unresolved. They deal with them courageously. Thirdly, they don't force people to follow. They invite them on a journey. They explain where we're trying to go, what we're trying to achieve, and help people to choose to buy in. Then, when they've bought in, they hold them accountable. They don't police them. They hold them accountable when they notice certain behaviors that are not aligned with where the organization is going and what the organization has agreed are the values that we stand for. They have conversations, courageous conversations. They don't let things slide. And they keep focusing on common goals. Those are the essences of leadership. It's all about intentional influence. So my challenge to you today is, are you intentionally influencing your team, or are you doing the things of manager and producer? Because we can feel like we're busy and we don't have the time for leadership. And we can think just because we're managing and we're producing that we're demonstrating by example. And some of that may be fair. But the reality is leadership is intentional influence. And unless you're intentionally doing the things of leadership, you're not a leader. So today, be very intentional about how you're influencing your people. Do the things of leadership, and you will be a leader, and your team will be more cohesive and will produce much better results. And that's why some teams produce more than other teams.